Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Riffhard podcast. My guest today is a fucking legend in the death metal scene. It's Mr. Karl Sanders from Nile, who has a brand new album coming out on August 23rd, 2024. It's called The Underworld Awaits Us All. I've heard it, and it is some furious work. I had a really good conversation with Karl. Actually, we have not seen each other in a long time. But Doc toured with him in 2007 on the Free Ozfest. And then we did a bunch of off dates together and got along really, really well with him. And I've always been super impressed by how he managed to build a career out of such an extreme niche that's very much his own take on death metal. Like, what I've always respected about Nile, besides the fact that they're sick, is that they've just done their own thing. Everything from the subject matter to choices in gear to the sound itself, it's just very much always been its own thing. And I have nothing but respect for bands who can pull that off. Anyways, here we go with Mr. Karl Sanders. All right, well, Karl Sanders, welcome to the Riffhard podcast.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man. You know, I was thinking about something, and I was thinking about something about you before this was even scheduled, which was a long time ago, maybe 2004 or 3. I read an interview with you in Guitar World, and I remember you, and, you know, I don't remember it word for word, but you said something along the lines of you had tried to do, like, commercial music for a long time,
Right,
and none of it was working, and Nile was kind of like fuck it, let's just do what we want, and then that's the one that worked.
yeah.
Accurate? Okay.
Yeah, but that's the truth of it. Yeah, when we gave up that aspiration of, let's be successful, and go down, try to do something that would, fit in with what happened to be, marketable. When we said, okay, well, you know what, fuck that. Let's just do what we want. Let's be happy. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. We should play the music that we enjoy, that makes us happy. And, for whatever karmic reason, that's the one that worked.
I mean, I think music listeners can smell authenticity, at least in metal. I don't think that I don't think that authenticity matters as much in every genre.
But it does in metal.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Sniff it like drug dogs, basically.
Dude, when you've got the audience, most metal shows are in, intimate kind of club settings where there's no barricades and the audience is right up there with you, right there, 2 feet away from you, foot away from you. They're there with you. They see whatever it is you're doing and they want the real thing. So, okay, let's go.
Intimate. The intimate's a good way to put it. Was it shocking or surprising when you decided to just do Nile because that's the thing that you actually love, and it started working? Was that, or did you have any indications prior that it might work?
No, we were already resigned to, because we were already in our 30s at the time we started Nile, that we may have had at one point, some young player delusions of, rock stardom and playing arenas. And, that's kind of what motivates young players oftentimes, is that, yeah, this is going to be mega. But we'd already become adults and realized that that was, a naive, sort of dream, if you would. We're going to play music and, we're going to be mega. Like, our heroes, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden.
It's a nice idea, though. But
it does drive a lot of, young players when you're first starting, that fire, want to play, right? But we were already in our 30s, so we'd given up on that. We were just playing because, well, we were going to fucking do it. We had our factory jobs during the day. We're going to play, whether it's just for us on the weekends or just local shows. We didn't care. We were going to play music.
We're going to take a quick break here to talk about Riffhard. For those of you who are new here, Riffhard is this podcast, but it's not just this podcast. Riffhard is also the world's best online school for metal guitar players, riffhard.com. And we've got lessons from the best, ranging from Dean Lamb to Jason Richardson, Aaron Marshall, Mike Stringer of Spirit Box, Javier Reyes of Animals as Leaders. Like, the list just goes on and on. Wes Hawk, that's another one. And you get instant access to all their lessons when you join Riffhard. We also do all kinds of challenges, like 10-day down picking challenges, 10-day alternate picking, 10-day legato, 10-day gallops, like all these challenges. We have a riff writing competition called King of the Riff that happens monthly, where you get all kinds of prizes like guitars from Schecter, and you get access to an exclusive members-only Facebook and Discord community of like-minded guitar players. You also get access to Nail the Mix. If you're not familiar with Nail the Mix, that is the world's best online school for metal producers and mixers. And it's all under one roof. We're the same company. So if you're listening to this podcast because you want to get better at metal guitar playing and have not taken that step to check out Riffhard, I don't know what to say. But hopefully you take that step and we'll see you there. All right, back to Karl Sanders. And how long did it take before it started to move in a way that I guess indicated, wow, this could actually go somewhere?
We were quite shocked about 96 or so, because our demos started selling in underground, and we sold a couple thousand of the Festivals of Atonement CD, and the Ramses Brand War, we sold 900 of them.
Just on your own through the underground?
Just through the underground.
Yeah.
And
that's awesome. That's actually really impressive.
People started sniffing around, and it taught me a lesson that, wait a minute, as soon as dollars start moving from one hand to another, people start taking notice. And we got a bunch of shitty little label offers, and all of them were terrible. So we picked the least terrible one, which was Craig of Hemdale. He had a label called Visceral Records, and he went out of business. He decided he was going back to school. Fucking sold this to Relapse, which, that was a heartbreaking move, because we had made a record and now it wasn't going to come out, and that was with Relapse. And they put us on the shelf for 6 months because it didn't fit into their release schedule. So there we were. We made a record, and, maybe we might get a release. Maybe we won't.
Getting shelved in those days was actually a very real thing. And there's lots of bands whose careers were just basically murdered before they could even get a chance to try. It was just done. It's shelved forever. So it's a very real thing.
It is. Yeah. But eventually it did come out, and it did okay. We got some really nice touring opportunities back in those days, which were a real stroke of luck and really helped the band.
I guess the rest is history.
As they say.
Yeah, it's at what point, I guess what I'm trying to understand, or not understand, but explore, is I feel like it's less so these days, but there used to be this myth, and it's not totally dead. And I can tell you it's not dead because in the URM and the Riffhard communities, we have lots of members who are in their 30s or 40s or even 50s who have not established a music career but want to, but a lot of them have this feeling that it's just too late. And I know that in the 90s, that was very much crammed down everyone's throats. Like, Doth, we got signed when I was like 27 or 26. And I remember them telling me that, like, it was good I took the deal because this was the last chance. Like, oh, are you old? And I remember hearing that. But I think it's a total myth that you're ever too old to make great music and you're ever too old for people to love it. But at the time, did you guys feel that at all? Like, we're told this is not going to work?
We were told that. I remember Matt Jacobson saying that in almost exactly those words. They had predicted that Nefer Ka would sell about 5,000 copies, and our max life as a band, right, our longevity projection for them was a max of 5 years. They figured after 5 years, you guys are done. You're only going to sell this many records. And that's all
be happy it's even happening.
Which, we were pretty naive still at that point. And I remember taking offense at that. And he said, Karl, you're already in your 30s. How much
Ship
more
has
time do you
sailed.
think you have?
Yeah.
And, dude, I'm 61 now, and I still love playing metal. It's why I get up in the day. Why the first thing I do is get the guitar and fucking start playing.
Has that ever changed?
No. Only like when I, was, in ill health, but otherwise, I love to play guitar.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here. That's the only real reason that I'm here is because I like playing music. If I didn't love music, there would be a lot more sensible career options.
Absolutely. I mean, I think they say, and I do believe that this is true, that there's a category of person who has to do it. Mm-hmm. And I mean, there's lots of things that you could do, but I know, and I know because I've tried to get out, that somehow, like, URM was the product of me trying to get out, but somehow there is no way for me to get out. I feel like there's just no way. If you have to be in it.
Can one of us do the Al Pacino bit where
they pulled me back in?
Every time I try to get out, they pull me back in.
It's true, man. It's true. But I think that it's this underlying thing where, I don't know about you, but I would be completely aimless and lost without music being the thing. Whether it's the band or the company or whatever, it's still music first and foremost, and sounds like it's the exact same thing for you.
It is, yeah. I remember during the pandemic when no one could play live. And I remember that big hole that was in probably all our lives. Anybody that played music, right, during the pandemic when no one was touring, that's a big chunk, like, missing out of your soul. It's just that, being with the fans and playing music and that whole thing that is playing live, right? It's part of us. It's part of, if you play music, that's like part of your soul. And for, while there were no bands touring during the pandemic, everyone had that hole in their lives. Yeah.
I remember lots of friends during that time period who were not able to tour, communicating to me that they were starting to take it for granted. And I know, there was a time period where I took music for granted too. And I know that it's a common thing for people to take what they're doing for granted. That's just like part of the human condition. I don't think it's like unique to musicians doing cool stuff like touring. I think it's just part of being human is taking things for granted. And I know lots of people who, because of the pandemic, they say they'll never take it for granted again, but I say they've got a good 15 years of
Until
not
we
taking
forget about what happened.
Yeah. It takes about that long, right? 10 to 15 years before people forget. Well, also a new generation will be in who didn't go through it.
Right.
So, I mean, people will be back to taking it for granted, but I still, I'm fucking around. Like, I think the lesson learned for almost everybody was don't take it for granted and appreciate it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, what if we had an actual apocalypse, like where there was no more electricity anymore and we're back to the Stone Age? We sure as fuck couldn't be a metal band without electricity. So what would we do then?
Yeah, like you definitely couldn't edit drums at that point. So, like, it'd be tough to have a metal band. No triggers?
Yeah, it would be tough. Got to have electricity.
I know. But I mean, people would still make music.
Yes, they would.
Yeah.
There's this, I don't know if you've ever seen Mel Brooks' History of the World Part 1.
Yes.
You have?
Yeah.
Like the scene in the cave with Sid Caesar where he's throwing the rocks on his cave buddy's feet and they howl in pain, right?
Mm-hmm.
The birth of music, right?
Yeah. I mean, it might very well be. It's I think that the human need for expression wouldn't go anywhere. Just the only thing that would change is the medium. And I mean, that's something that we've experienced in our lifetimes too, is the medium has changed a few times. Yeah. The medium for making it, the medium for consuming it. Mm-hmm. So an apocalypse would suck, but I think that at the end of the day, those who have to do it, as provided they had shelter and food and survived, I think would still do it.
Yeah, one way or another.
Yeah, for sure. Have you tried ever doing anything else?
Well, I have been blessed that I have not been compelled to do something else. And I appreciate that it's the fans, right? Without metal fans that actually support the band, then you're playing in the rehearsal room. So I have a career because of metal fans. Right?
Yes.
Try to remember that. Right? Try to keep that in mind. Every time, you know this yourself. Every time you turn around and you're a recording artist, there's somebody trying to make money off you or your fans in one way or another. Like just yesterday, I found, or Peter Mora found, Walmart is selling Nefren Ka shirts. And I'm like, wait a minute. I never saw any fucking deal where we were licensing Nefren Ka shirts to Walmart. How are they in Walmart? This is stupid and insane. How is this happening? And I think to myself, wait a minute. This is just another case of somebody making money on metal fans when they don't actually deserve that money.
So how was it unlicensed or?
I haven't found out yet. It was immediately sent it to our manager.
Yeah.
They're going to look into it, but
But you certainly didn't hear about it.
No.
Yeah.
No. Peter Moore was looking for a new Nefren Ka tour shirt because this one is from '99 and it's threadbare, and he wanted a new Nefren Ka shirt. He could have just come to the band room. We have some in the band room, but he looked online for one, and this ad for Walmart popped up where you could buy a Nile Nefren Ka shirt from Walmart. And I was like, what world are we living in? This is a thing that should not be, right?
Well, the thing with that, I think, is, and that's not the record industry, but it's an offshoot. Licensing your merch is an offshoot from it. But the record industry was set up in the original days with the idea that artists are stupid. I mean, all the old contracts, all the old deals, and basically, we still have record deals now and the way it's set up now is still kind of built off of that DNA that basically assumes artists are stupid, and you can get away with taking just about everything. Now, I need to just say one thing. Running a business, I also understand running a business, also being an artist and producing bands and having had bands and worked with them. I also know that lots of artists don't understand what goes into running a business.
Right.
So there's some level of fair with how the profit is split. And I think
fair
a lot of
is a negotiable line that's always moving.
Yes, absolutely. But the original, I guess, goalposts were very, very predatory.
Yeah.
And I think we've still got a lot of that. And then there's all kinds of side deals built off of those super predatory goalposts and deal points. And one of the beautiful things about this era, in my opinion, is that first of all, that old system, you don't have to take part in it in order to have a career, number one. And number two, if you do choose to take part in it, there's enough information out there to go into it with eyes open and handle the things you need to handle so that you don't get fleeced, basically.
Yeah, and some amount is still going to happen,
no
matter how vigilant one tries to be.
Yeah, well, I think the question is how much are you willing to give up opportunity cost-wise, right? Like, because if you try to monitor everything and stay on top of literally everything, you could spend your whole life doing that. And then what happens to the art?
Then you don't get time to practice.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like there's some amount that I think has to be just accepted. Like, I know this isn't the best situation, but if I don't get into this sort of agreement, I'm going to have to do this all myself. Am I cool with that?
All right. You got to delegate some shit or you won't get anything done that actually needs to get done.
Yeah. Which is really, really important to keep in mind. So you said that you've woken up just about every day and played guitar first. Like, has that been like...
Well, first I take a shower, get some coffee, then I start playing.
But the first major activity is guitar.
Right. Before, like, anything, hit the guitar. Like, if there's some email business that has to be done, if it's urgent, okay, and then I'll play. But whatever it is that I got to get done, the guitar is always nearby so that take care of it, go back to playing. Because that's what I like to do, right? If I fill my day with too much other bullshit, then I'm not playing music. Right? That makes sense, right?
And then the amount of time that you don't play music can easily just grow and grow and grow.
Get away from you like that, especially when you're a parent. You got kids and responsibilities. Man, does it go fast.
So I think that for people listening to this who do have families and work in the real world or feel like they're too old and have too much stuff going on, I think really the most important thing is deciding that it's the important thing and then making it a priority. And then I guess I could just say making it a priority and not say anything else, because if you made it a priority, it would be a priority. But I feel like I need to explain that making it a priority means actually making it a priority, like just exactly the way you described, where on days where there isn't some fire burning, it's the first major thing you do. And if there is a fire burning, obviously you're going to put the fire out, but then it's going to get to it right away. And then it's always around. And that's it. I mean, I don't think it needs to be overthought. There doesn't need to be some complex routine or system for making something a priority. You just have to decide.
Yep. You decide that that's what, you're going to do, and everything else takes second thing. And there are sacrifices that you got to make. Like I used to think of them as sacrifices on the altar to the metal gods. And if you don't make them, you will not be smiled upon, right? So you have to actually make them. Like the first thing that has to go is phone time. This thing is off. I almost never look at my social media. Never do it. Because once you start, it's a time stealer.
Oh my God. It's designed to be. And I think I'll just say that for artists who do engage in social a lot and it's a part of your career, that's fine, but you still need to turn the fucking phone off. Like when it's time to get to work.
Yep. Yeah, it's so true. It's real.
It's designed to suck you in, and it's designed to be addictive. And I don't think anybody is above it. Like, I don't think that the people who made this, the people who programmed the software on these are some of the smartest minds on the planet. And I think Google and YouTube have tens of thousands of engineers and have spent tens of billions of dollars on these algorithms. We're not smarter than them.
No,
so
you can't win.
Yeah, you can't.
You can't win. It's like, when you go to the movie theater and you try to walk by where the concession stand is, right? And even if you say to yourself, I'm not getting popcorn, I'm not doing it, as soon as you smell it, as soon as you smell the popcorn in the movie theater, you are compelled to get a fucking popcorn. Even if you don't want one, once you smell it, you can't do it. It's stronger than people.
Yeah, I think that not the only, but the best way is to just not put yourself in the situation, and kind of like with the phone is to just turn it off so that it's not. So I've noticed, I've tried turning it over or putting it in the other room or turning it off. And I've noticed that if I turn it over or put it in the other room, there's still this like part of my brain.
It's a compulsion.
That's thinking about it. So, but turning it off like shuts that part of my brain off.
What if it gets really bad, right? I'll just give it to my wife and she'll take it downstairs and she'll put it on her little desk down there where she is, right? And now we've added another thing, like it's on her table. So if I were so stupid and so weak as like I had to look at it, well, now you would have to like add the mockery that she would surely put upon me, like, playing you can't get anything done with this thing, but here you are. No, dude. So I don't dare. So that's the smart play for me. I just give the phone to my wife.
So you made it too painful.
Made it too painful.
That's great. That's super wise, man. I think one of the biggest dangers to being productive and getting things done that we want to get done in the modern world are distractions. I think it's one of the biggest dangers, just because they're everywhere.
Lurking at every corner.
Yeah. So the first step is definitely to disconnect yourself from those. And it's amazing how just doing like what you just said, like actually disconnecting yourself, just that alone, it will enhance your focus by an order of magnitude.
Rusty Cooley gave me a lesson about focus, right? The way he focuses when he's practicing something, right? He puts every bit of his attention for 1 minute or 5 minutes or, whatever this little block is for that thing. And that's all he plays for those few minutes. That's it. And when he gets to the end of that time increment, that's it. He's done practicing that thing, right? So, when I tried this, I was immediately impressed with, well, this is your only chance to do it. If you say to yourself, I've got 1 minute to practice this, and that's all I get 1 minute of fucking focus, then you really fucking focus. Like when you got to warm up before the show, right? Everybody's experienced this, and you only got 30 seconds to get your hands going, right? For that 30 seconds or that minute, you're really focused. You got to be, because you have to be.
It's going to be the best damn warm-up ever.
Mm-hmm.
I want to break that down a little. So basically, say he's working on, I don't know, down picking speed, just pulling something out of my ass, down picking speed. So it would just be, all right, for a minute or 2 minutes or whatever the increment is, I'm going all out with this pure focus, and then that's that. So it better be worth it.
I don't know if you can get down picking down in just 1 minute increment.
I don't know why
it takes a lot more time than that, but I think the lesson still holds. And I don't think he works on his down picking.
No, I know I picked something that you can't do in 1 minute. Just
yeah.
No, but like still, like the lesson, even if like it's 15 minutes.
Right. For whatever time you set aside, just do that and actually get the full value out of whatever time that you have allotted to put into that. I think, that's the big takeaway, right? If you're going to practice whatever it is you're practicing, practice that fucking thing. Don't practice 20 different things. Practice that thing that needs to be worked on.
How do you decide, like you yourself, how do you decide what that thing is?
Well, it's easy for me, right? Because I have to be able to play Nile songs. So there's things in those Nile songs that are non-negotiable. Like you have to get them or you can't play the fucking song. So there you go. Here's your job. So at that point, it's like work for hire. I just hired myself to learn to do this fucking thing, and I have to do it. So if you have to do something, well, then you will.
When you say that there's things you have to do for Nile songs, when it comes to like the actual day-to-day, are you working on exercises to maintain those techniques, or are you just working on the songs themselves?
Both. Right?
Okay.
I think that there's like two main arteries, right? You have to be able to do the technique, but then you have to be able to put the technique in context, and then you got to be able to play the whole fucking thing, which means transitioning between different things, right? So it's not enough to just, I can do this thing, and I can do this thing, and I can do this thing. Separately, you have to be able to move from one thing to another. So some of it is that, like getting your hand from here. Well, the next part of the song, you got to be here. Well, that's a transition. That transition has to be worked on as well, because that's where you'll stumble, right? Is the going between things, or when the riff or the tempo changes, and everybody, that's the tricky part. Or being able to sing on top of whichever riff it is, that's another thing that you got to like work on, or else it doesn't happen, right? If you're playing a riff and the vocal has nothing to do with the riff, then you got to practice it until your brain can make the connection.
Yeah, absolutely. Like with the transition thing is such a great, well, those are both great examples. The transition thing is a great example just because one of the hardest things, I think, for guitar players is to switch gears. Once you have momentum going, I think like momentum
It's
makes
inertia.
things, it just makes things way easier. But like it goes to zero when you have to switch, when you have transition to a new position or skip across multiple strings or whatever it is. Like that momentum just smacks into a wall, and you have to restart it basically from scratch. And so practicing those transitions are vital, because if you only practice the individual technique or the individual section, you have a rough ass time. Getting through it.
Right, but you got to break it down to master each one.
Yep.
Right. I mean, that's like the crucial first step. But we're not done. It's time to learn the transitions and then put the whole damn thing together.
At that point, when you put it all together, then you have this new thing to like deal with, which is endurance. I mean, I think that there's definitely endurance involved with individual parts, but not in the same way as playing a song from start to finish.
Right. Yeah, breathing helps a lot with that.
Yeah.
I remember the first.
That's what people have told me.
Yeah.
Breathing helps.
Dude, if you don't breathe, you can't fight. It's the same thing with playing metal or playing any instrument. If you don't breathe, you're going to run out of gas. You can't make it. So breathing, the simple act of breathing, staying calm and focused, takes on, I think, paramount meaning. When you're playing like the kinds of music that we do, it really matters. Breathing.
Is that something that consciously, like, you'll be in a song and start to tense up and focus on your breath, and it will sort itself?
It used to be that once I went past that red line and like my arm tensed up, like when I was 25, I would just muscle my way through it, right?
Yes.
And you got the endurance to do it when you're young, right? Hold your breath, turn red, every muscle tense, but you can't keep doing that for a fucking hour,
No.
Yeah. So, and if you're going to sing on top of that, you're spending all your air vocalizing. So breathing really fucking matters even more. So breathing, simple act of breathing.
Do you ever have to muscle through stuff now, or is it 100% now a relaxation challenge to get through a Nile song?
Depends on which Nile song it is. Like some of them are still a challenge. The ones that we've been
Dude, that shit's
playing,
nuts.
well, your music is really involved as well. So I feel like
it's a different kind of nuts. Like when I listened to the new album last night, it was just like, Jesus Christ, man! Like this would destroy my forearms.
Well, staying chill really helps, right? And the songs that we played for years on tour, those are the easiest because they're all in muscle memory.
Yep.
And, I'm not stressed about whether or not I can do it. I know that I can do it. But like when you add the new songs that aren't necessarily in muscle memory, there's still a little bit of mental like stress or anxiety. Can I hang all the way through there? Well, I got to, so but I think that eases up the more you play the song and the more success that you have. Like a lot of it's in your brain, right? Like once you make it all the way through the end of the song and you realize that, oh, this is doable, then the next time you do it, it's a little easier to stay relaxed and, breathe and not be fucking stressed and not think, oh, I've got to fucking tense every muscle in my body, right? The more you do it, the more you're in that relaxed zone, and the easier it is to stay in that relaxed zone. Although there's going to be times when you fall out, right? Where your arm starts, you can feel it. You can feel the onset of it. It's right around the corner. And I just kind of like tried to talk myself down. Like, It's not necessary. You don't have to do this. Just breathe, focus, play the part. Maybe ease up on the how much force I'm putting in it, because I always play too hard anyway. So, yeah, it's almost like I'm talking to my own brain, like, because my brain will get away from me, right? I think as players, our brains will go to places that aren't necessarily helpful to us.
Yes.
So sometimes I'm like just telling myself to chill the fuck out. Just kind of funny. It's right. There's mental gymnastics one often has to do. Stay relaxed, stay focused, stay on point, just stay in time, right? Sometimes I tell myself, just stay in time with George. That's all you got to do, right? Just one foot in front of the other. You'll make it to the end of the song. You can do it.
Something interesting I learned playing, like shooting playthroughs, because playthroughs are a kind of a unique thing where there's not really other times besides rehearsal, maybe, but it's different because you don't have the stress in a rehearsal of being filmed and having to play it right. So a playthrough is a unique kind of stressful situation where you're playing the song over and over and over and over all the way through, but you're not rehearsing. You are playing it for real, and
there's a camera up your ass.
Yeah,
the whole
or
time.
five. Yeah, or five. And I noticed that by like take 5, something happens in my brain where I've been through the song so many times that it's like I can chill now. And then something around take 4 or 5, like I just relax and then play it. And the level of the takes shoots up by like 100%. And usually those takes 5 or 6 or a combination of 5 and 6 end up being the one. But there's always this point after like getting through the adrenaline of those first few playthrough takes where, it's this thing in my brain just like kicks in and suddenly I can just relax. And I'm saying it because you said that getting through a song, the more you get through a song and have success getting through a song, the more your brain is going to be on your side. And I think that's, I'm echoing that like through the playthroughs, because that's a very stressful version of getting through a song.
Yeah, I fucking hate playthroughs because you get like so far in and then you make one dumb thing, right? And then I gotta go. I hate playthroughs. I don't do them for exactly that reason. Because my own brain is my own enemy. Like these are songs I know I can play, but do I want to do playthroughs? That's too much stress. Fuck that.
It's a uniquely stressful thing because when you're playing live, you fuck up once, but that train keeps rolling.
Right.
Yeah.
You got to get back on the train and just go. And once you're back on the train, you're focused on being on the train. You can, shit's behind you. Whatever you did that was wrong, it's behind you.
It's over. Yeah.
Until somebody's got a cell phone and then you see it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
On YouTube and you go, yeah, I missed that, didn't I? Yep.
You brought up something interesting about the muscle memory. I've said for a while that you're never going to be as good at playing a song as you are right after a tour. And it's a shame that you can't tour on an album before you record it.
Jerry Garcia said that.
Did he?
The Grateful Dead.
Well, he's smart.
Said that. Him.
I didn't know he said that, but I agree with him.
Yeah, man. Like, there are times when I'm like, man, if we'd have recorded this after we toured it, we'd have played it 10 times better.
For sure. Absolutely. It's this crazy thing. but you can't really, stand-up comedians have this figured out where they do the crowd work stuff for like a year
Right.
before their stand-up specials.
Okay.
I don't know if you're familiar with crowd work, but they will, in lots of cases, there's like NDAs signed with the crowd or cell phones taken from the crowd just to get in, and it's understood that the comedian is working on the set, so it's going to be a rough version of it, and they'll do the crowd work set for like a full year, sometimes several times a week. Sometimes they'll tour the crowd work sets, but it's this thing, like there is no recording, and you're going to see your favorite comedian, but they might be doing material that is not as good as you know them for, and it's because they're working it out. And then by the time they go and film the special, they've done like a full year of this crowd work.
They've had time to work out the little kinks and bugs. Wouldn't it be great if you could do band rehearsals like that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It would be amazing. How much better would albums be? Or at least the recording process, at least. So speaking of albums, we're about to run out of time, but I wanted to talk about your album. I listened to it last night. It is fucking furious.
That's what Country Ford said. He said, Karl, this album is you guys' most ferocious work you've ever done. And that's the word he used.
Well, I guess that's the second time in 5 minutes that I agree with somebody that someone that's respectable. Yeah, like it's kind of nonstop, and hummeling and all those words. But as I was listening to it, I was thinking, like, sometimes you hear bands who've been around a while phone stuff in. Like, this is something that's like personally relevant to me with Bringing Doth Back. That, sometimes bands have reunions and it sounds like they're trying to be what they were, or it's phoned in. Sometimes bands that are veterans, like, just kind of ease into that thing. I don't hear any of that with your new stuff. I hear just fury, which is killer.
Well, we want to play. George and I, we feel like that's why we were put here on Earth. That's what we worked our entire lives to do. So we're going to play. Damn it. Give them the chance. We're going to play.
Yeah, and you don't take it for granted, clearly. Like, that there is nothing phoned in about that record. It is on fucking fire. So,
well, thank you. Thank you for actually listening to it. You'd be surprised how many people I've talked to. Like, it's enough of a thing to where it's got me worked up. Like, there are metal journalists who will try to fake their way through an interview.
Journalists,
yeah, right, and not even listen to the record. And you can tell, dude. You can tell, right? You've done this yourself a bunch of times. You can tell when they've listened to the record and when they haven't. But people are trying to get away with that a lot nowadays. Like just filling content. Doesn't matter what it is. So
yeah, it irks me, man. It irks me just because, for me, the podcast is not my main thing at all. It's just part. It's part of what I do, but it's definitely not my main thing. And I, as busy as I am, will still take the time to listen to people's shit if they're gonna come on. Just like podcasts I listen to when an author comes on, you can tell if the host has read the book or not, and it makes a massive difference. It's just if you're gonna talk to somebody about something, and you have the opportunity to take in that something that is the reason you're talking. It's and it doesn't take that long,
man. You're speaking the truth.
And it doesn't take that long, right? Like with an album, this is not like a book. Like a book is a much bigger investment, but an album, you can take a walk, like
take a walk. I did
Take
the
a
dishes
walk,
last
do the
night. and
dishes,
listened
like,
to
yeah.
Judas Priest. Like,
Yeah,
I was really doing the show's dishes, going free will burning.
exactly. Like, you're going to talk to the dude, like, have some fucking respect, and also you might actually like it.
It's like they're cheating themselves.
Yes.
Right? It's like, I can't fathom it. But I'm thankful that, dude, thank you for taking the time
My pleasure.
to listen and enjoy the record.
Thank you for making it and for taking the time to do the podcast, man.
Well, man, we've had a blast.
Yes.
This is like so much fun. It's so good to see you again.
Likewise, man.